Welcome back to the Becoming More podcast, episode number 12. Before we get started, I just want to ask you to like and subscribe on YouTube and rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show and helps us get more viewers and possibly more guests. Here on Becoming More, we go in depth talking to some amazing people about how they have changed their lives dramatically and have helped others do the same through inspiration or motivation. Today, I am joined by Allie. Allie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm enjoying that it's not blistering hot today, and we're recording in May. And
Is it raining by you?
No, it's just damp.
Oh,
But it's like 50
boring.
degrees out, so
Yeah,
it's weird.
that's your jam.
Way more than 95 like last weekend. Of course, last
Yeah.
weekend when I was mulching and it was 95 degrees, and I'm like, I hate my life so much.
We're
But
opposites. I love 95.
you love 95? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. 70s I can get
70s are perfect.
Yeah. I when I was a kid, my dad was stationed in Seattle area. So we lived there in the summer because my parents were divorced. And in the summer it'd be like 70s all summer. And then you'd have like a heat wave to like the mid 80s for like a week. And then that's it. And it was beautiful. Like I loved it. And then I came back to like humidity central Pennsylvania. And it was not fun in September.
Yeah. West Coast has beautiful weather all the time.
Yeah. And then there's volcanoes that you might have to watch out for at some point.
Or earthquakes.
Yeah. Take it, there's negatives and positives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So we've known each other a little bit. And I like to ask each guest, I kind of know your story somewhat, but, a lot of the listeners or viewers wouldn't. So what would you say so far your bottom line of your journey is?
I guess I just really want to live a healthy life overall, like in all aspects, not just like lose weight. I mean, that's a big part of being healthy is being at a healthy weight. But I think for me, it's just cultivating balance and like wholesome. I don't know if I'm trying just the whole picture. I want to be happy here. I want to be happy there. I want to be healthy over here. I just want to
like a holistic approach to life in general. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
So that's my main goal.
Yeah. And you're definitely getting there. I mean, I know your story and we'll get into it. So I kind of like that kind of go back to early life because everybody has like a spot where they start because like all of us have like developed habits that we got from childhood, like whether it's any like I have a problem where I chew my nails because I've done it all my life and I hate that I do it and I try not to, but I still, if I'm stressed, I do it.
Yeah.
Or any of us with food addiction have many issues. So growing up, would you say that you were like, were you in like pretty good shape? Were you athletic? Were you heavy, like as long as you can remember? And on top of that, like, did your weight like progress? Like all of a sudden you got, because like I had a year where I was like depressed when I was like 13 and I gained a ton, like I gained a bunch. Or did it just kind of like slowly progress as you got older?
Okay. So when up until I was probably about 8, 9, I was like a thin, tiny little thing. And then I think, well, my parents were definitely having trouble in their marriage. And I think before I was completely aware of it, I was aware of it, like I was absorbing it. So I started to, I guess, use food as comfort at that point. Like I would like sneak stuff. Like I would go in the cabinet, grab stuff, and then like eat it really quietly, like while my mom was doing something kind of thing. And I didn't really understand why I was doing it because I just knew I just wasn't supposed to. Because she would get like, she wouldn't like me doing it. Like she would get mad at me or be like, you can't eat like that, whatever. But I didn't really understand why. I just knew I wanted it. You know what I mean? And then I would say pretty much from that point on, I've been heavy. Like, and it slowly progressed until it just got really, really bad. And I couldn't not like look at myself and be like, oh, you know what I mean? You just like get disgusted by yourself and you're like, why am I like this? How did this happen?
Yeah. I was posting because I don't do as many of the posts as I used to on Instagram, but I was posting on a throwback or some picture and I saw this picture and it was literally, I did this to my chin. Like I cropped it like right here. so you wouldn't
Yeah.
see like my double chin at all. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't really have it anymore, but I
Yeah.
used to have it pretty severe. And and I was just like, I was like, yeah, I said, not only was I ashamed that I had gotten to 600 pounds, but I was so ashamed that I cut out part of my face of this picture because I didn't have the original. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things where you get to a point where you're just like, you kind of get ashamed. I guess ashamed is a decent word for it, but it's just like and you're just kind of like relegated to the person you are. Like, and I mean, I don't know about you, but like for me, I didn't think I honestly didn't know that I would be able to change like
Yeah.
to the level it takes, because it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. It's not just like what you put in your mouth, even though it's a really big part of it. It's not just that. It requires like mind, soul,
Mm-hmm.
body kind of thing. Like it's whole. You got to do the whole thing
Oh yeah,
if
and
you want to be successful.
a lot of times online we hear people say, "Oh, it's like 80% nutrition, 20% exercise, or some version of that," right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of like in recent weeks I've gone to like, no, it's like 10% exercise, 40% nutrition, and like 50% mindset, because it
Mm-hmm.
is all one time, one podcast I said it was 200, there was 200%, but that didn't make sense. So because I said 100% mindset and then another 100% is the other stuff. But
Your world,
yeah,
whatever works.
it's my world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's just so tough because like without the mindset, you just get mired in like, you can get mired in it, because even like, I mean, I lost 100 pounds without the mindset,
Mm-hmm.
because you can do it, but then
Yeah.
like you always had the problem of if you like would go back,
You're
and
gonna go back.
that's definitely not what I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I maintained for a while, and then I eventually kept going. But
Yep.
yeah, okay, so you got, like you said, it was like a progression after I mean, being through all the
Mm-hmm.
sneaking food, right?
Yep.
So as you're like teenager and young and adulthood, and you have like a car, and now you have plenty of opportunities to get food, right?
Yeah.
Um, so was there a point while you were like, before you got to the actual point where you're like, yeah, I need to make a change? Was it ever like something in your head that you were like, I really need to go like try to lose weight? Did you try other times to lose weight
Oh my
significantly?
God. My whole life was I gotta lose
Yeah.
weight. Oh
Okay.
yeah. I was very, very aware. I think there's sometimes like in some family aspects where it's just accepted. In my family, it was not accepted. It was,
Okay.
what are you doing? Like, I love you, I care about you, I want you to be healthy. Like, why can't you help yourself? And I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying, but that's, it was just more like we say, it was the mindset thing. My mind wasn't right. So no matter what I did, if I had lost 50 pounds in one shot, which I've done before, um, but I'd gone back always.
Hmm.
So as I was like a teenager and had access to the car, really the thing for me was freedom from, my BS at home. Um, which also got me into more BS at home because then I was irresponsible and I was a teenager and not doing the right thing all the time. But it wasn't so much really about food, like the freedom to get whatever food I want, until like my 20s. Then
Hmm.
was when I was like doing the fast food drive-throughs and snacking in my car when I was dry. That stuff didn't start till later on.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So what I kind of, I know that like, obviously you're not in your early 20s anymore,
No.
unfortunately, right?
No.
So when was it that like you decided to, like this time, that like, what was there like an event or anything that led to it, or was it just like you were just tired of seeing yourself at that point?
So I wasn't even at my heaviest when I was like, something needs to change. I can't tell you what weight I was at. I want to say I was probably a little bit less than my heaviest, because my heaviest was almost 300 pounds and I'm 5'1". That's a lot for a little frame.
That is, yes.
So, so I guess the breaking point, the whole year was just a year of anxiety and stress, and it should have been some really happy moments, but it was like a culmination of all of these life events and not dealing with them and all of these things, and it finally just came out in that one year, because it was like I'd reached my breaking point. I had had enough stress, I had had enough anxiety. I was going to school, I was student teaching, school full time, student teaching, working full time, planning a wedding
Oh wow.
by myself.
Yeah.
I had no help with that. So it was all of those things. And while those things are awesome, like student teaching was great. I loved the kids. Graduating with my master's was awesome. That was a huge accomplishment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then getting married, like these were all things that was supposed to validate me and make me feel like I had done something with myself. And oops, I'm sorry. And I didn't. It was outside validation that I guess I was trying to get, and I didn't get it because the validation really comes from you. And I didn't know that. So I guess after that had happened, I was a newlywed and I should have been like pissed drunk happy, but I wasn't. I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had a test to get certified for teaching. I went and I dropped my ex-husband off at a bar with our friends. And then I drove home and I just like broke down. And I called my mom. I was stressed about the test, but I think it was just the last thing that I could handle. And I was like, I can't do this. Like meaning like I can't do life, but
Yeah.
I just said I can't do this anymore. And she was like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, you need help. And I was like, yeah, I know. So she ended up finding somebody through work who highly recommended somebody. And I ended up going to, it was a therapist.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up going, and that was like the best decision I've ever made for myself, was to do that. Because I was so depressed. I was like falling asleep in my chair at work. Like it was really, really sad, really
wow.
bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people don't want to talk about therapy or mental health a lot because it's such a tough subject. I mean,
Yeah.
I know like when I talk about like anything painful, like you get upset, like you even like thinking about,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll even throw it back to like when I did my first episode and I talked about my grandfather who I was very close to, who died. Like I started to tear up as I was recording, and
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't expect it because
Yeah.
it's been like a couple years since he passed, and like but those like deep seated emotions come out, and like when you
Yep.
talk about it with anything with mental health or, um, you know, it's just going to bring it up, and it's going to make you. Sometimes it makes you feel worse, but then it also makes you feel better after you get like figure out what you need to do.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, that also goes back to like the whole mindset approach of life, not just weight loss, because like
Yeah.
I really am on the same level with you about how you were getting all those check boxes of your life and you weren't like feeling fulfilled. And that's how I was at the same spot because I got my master's and I had the job I wanted when I left my bachelor's. When I finished my bachelor's, I had this job I wanted, and I got my master's, and I was just like unfulfilled, and I left that job, and then got a new job, and then and you know, and I still wasn't totally fulfilled, but I was feeling better about it. And then once I started the journey, like it's amazing how much stuff opens up once you like really focus on yourself.
Yep.
Because like you have so much more, your perspective kind of changes, right? Because like you're in a better mindset, you're more like apt to want to make changes, and not just weight loss. Like there's tons of changes that get made that have nothing to do with the pounds on the scale.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the biggest part of like my specific journey, is all of the things that have happened as a result, because realistically I've lost like over 50 pounds. I'm not quite at 60 yet, but that was like, therapy was a springboard for this, but me doing this whole journey was a springboard for like my personal growth, because I think that is like the biggest part for me of all of this. I don't think you were on the ALG call, but I said something to John. I was like, you know, I've only lost like 10 pounds since December, and I'm like pissed about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But John said, he's like, yeah, but you've been doing a lot of like mental growth. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, I guess you shed the weight of like your mental stuff too, but you know, sometimes it messes with you with the scale. You're like,
Oh, it definitely messes with you.
like I've been doing all of this work, but like nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But really, there is stuff happening. It's just not a number.
Yeah, and that's when like I know John and I have talked a lot about this. John Arpino, JR's Journey, for people listening, and I'm sure he'll love hearing his name here. But you know, he and I have talked a lot about this, and NSVs, non-scale victories, are like what keep me going a lot, because I'll notice like, while the scale doesn't change that much, like clothes fit better, clothes are bigger, that I could be the same weight I was like a couple months ago and on the scale, and the clothes will fit better, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell, what like it makes no sense, because but it's like, sometimes it's just, it could be redistribution of like your weight. It could also be like, so I work out at the gym and I lift weights, and like I'm gaining muscle and losing
Mm-hmm.
fat, and then muscle weighs more. So
Yep.
that's also part of it, and that's where I'm not going to see it. And that's, for me, that's like, I knew that going in, that as soon as I started lifting weight, it's like, this is a possibility that I won't see the scale go down, but I'll get thinner at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And which is nice, because we're all vain.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think also like for me, because and I mean, I guess you don't ever, it's kind of like addiction. Like you don't ever, you're in recovery from an eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had binge eating disorder, but when I say had, you still have it. You're just in recovery, I guess. Um, but for me, like when you have an eating disorder like that, like you obsess over the scale and you obsess over things that like I don't even want to say like neurotypical because it's like nobody's really neurotypical if you think about it, but um thin people maybe don't like obsess over, or maybe like average people don't obsess over. And through school I also learned about another eating disorder called orthorexia nervosa, which is basically like the need to be on. You're obsessed about being on. It's got to be the healthiest item, the least amount of this, the most amount of this, the most nutrition. And if it's not binge eating, it's that for me.
Oh
So
wow.
like, yeah. And I've done a really good job of like achieving balance for the most part, but there are some times where like in a store, if it has one ingredient that's bad, there are times in my mind where I'm like, nope, you can't eat that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you won't, you can't do it. But so that's just to like kind of like a little peek in the window of my mind. So bringing it back to the scale, like it's hard to not get so OCD and obsess over it sometimes, because for a really long time, most of our lives, that's what's been drilled in our mind as the measurement for success with weight
Mm-hmm.
loss. But I know better. We all know better. It's just, I guess, hard in your mind to not put
Yeah.
so much value in that.
Yeah, it was I had one of those moments where it was like a validation moment when I was walking into work. So we had like these big glass doors, and it was like the first day, it was back in April, when it was finally like the weather broke and it was like nice. I didn't need a jacket or a hoodie or anything. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
walking in, and I have like a polo shirt on, and I like see myself in the reflection, and I'm like, is that like is that me, right? One of those
Yeah.
moments, because I'm
Yeah.
like that doesn't look like me, because like it's not as like big, right? And like my, especially like in my chest, like I look a lot slimmer, like my shoulder and
Mm-hmm.
chest, than I used to. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just like one of those like surreal kind of moments. And and like people like, or like, well, is it, they don't think of it, but that's an NSV, that's an NSV as well, because
Oh, yeah.
because like you see how you see yourself is such a big deal. Like if you see yourself as, you know your heaviest, whatever it is, you're just gonna like constantly put yourself down about it,
Yeah.
because I mean, if I saw myself as 600-pound Brett all the time, I'd feel terrible. But I see myself like at the gym, there's mirrors in the room I work out in all the time, so I see myself constantly.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like I still see the old me at times, but like most of the time I don't anymore. Like I used
Yeah.
to, when I first went to the gym, I would see the old me all the time, because I felt like out of place
Yeah.
before I started like really getting into it. And gyms are scary places, because especially for like people that are not athletic or fit, like
Right.
you think you don't belong a lot.
Right.
And I mean, I still get like looks and from people that are a-holes.
Yeah.
But then like as you do it more, like you wind up like there's this one guy I see every now and then, and every time I'm he usually in the same room I am in. It's like a little room that for like special like free weight exercises, and then like also just to get away from like the main free weight area and the lifters. And he sees me, and like after I do like I do this like high intensity training, so after I do like my full set, he'll like fist bump me and like tell me, oh, this
Nice.
awesome workout. And it's just like, he doesn't have to do that. Right.
Yeah.
But he does, because he's like just
Yeah.
trying to be encouraging.
Yeah.
And which is nice, because like, especially for someone that used to be like, I don't ever want to go to the gym, or I want to go like when nobody's there, or I'm just going to go to
Yeah.
the pool because I like going to the pool.
Yeah. He probably honestly sees you in there working harder than most like meatheads. You know what I mean? They just go there to stare at themselves and go, oh. And he's probably like, damn, this guy's working his ass off.
Yeah, usually after I work with my trainer, I'm always like, my headband is like covered in, like I wring it out outside after I leave, because it's yeah, no, it's gross. But it also is like one of those times where it like feels great, because it's like, you know, you did a lot, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I was curious, like when you started like this current loss that you've had, the 50, 60 pounds, did you follow any like nutrition program or plan, or did you just like kind of research it a little bit and like just do your own kind of thing? Because there's all different ways people do it, right? There's
definitely
tons of different ways.
I've done many different ways. Actually, probably the funniest way that I've done is, it's not really that funny. What is it called? Nutrisystem.
Oh yeah.
I would just eat 4 meals in one, instead of eating like this size meal for my one sitting. I would eat like 4 of them in one. I'd be like, oh man, I have no food. I guess I'll have a slice of pizza for dinner. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. So, this time around, Ryan actually propelled a lot of this, because when Ryan and I first met, he was so motivated to like do better. I think we both were, because we were fresh out of like horrible marriages, and we just were so like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about like the future, because we were finally making moves for ourselves. So he was like, really like, I really want to do this. I really want to do something. And then, you know, we got happy and we got comfortable. But we had gone to Florida, and we were both like fat as fuck, uncomfortable, and just like gross. And we were in a queen size bed, and we were just like, move over, because we couldn't, it just didn't work. And we were like, we got to do something about this. So Ryan reached out to Noah, who is Transformational Truth on Instagram. And he was kind of like my guinea pig. Like I was like, all right, you do this, I will do it with you. And if we're successful, like I'll hop on board. And that's basically how this whole entire thing was. Like Ryan was the one that did it. Same thing with ALG. Ryan was in ALG, and I would like sit over here and be like, talking about, you know what I mean? Like Ryan did a lot of it. And I'm very like, I'm cool, I can talk to you, but I'm slow to warm up kind of thing. Like I need to be like comfortable and know that you're like not a dick. And then I can, you know what I mean?
I'm kind of similar, because I always was very introverted and shy as a kid. And then like when I first heard about ALG as well, which I'll link in this show notes because we're discussing it so much. But like I remember Caleb asked me about joining it, and I was like, I don't know, like I don't like it was just one of those things where I was like, I don't know, because like I mean, I talked to a lot of people on here already, and I'm already kind of like at my like I'm more extroverted now than I was, but I still have some introversion. And but then when I joined it, and like I first call I did, and it's every Wednesday night 8:30 on ALG's website.
Just drop it, it's fine.
Yeah, might as well. But you know, I did it, and it was only 6 people or so in it. But when I did it, I was like at first I was like nervous, and then I did talk, and then I was like, you know, I like it, like, and then I just started doing every week then, right? Because I like the people, and I like hearing different experiences and perspectives. So yeah.
Well, I commend you for being brave enough, because I wasn't. I was like, I'm not sitting there with these people I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like I was very apprehensive. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that in the middle of July, in the beginning of July, I made a really impulsive decision to do a health coaching program. Literally didn't know what it was about. I knew that it included a lot of spirituality and like holistic stuff, which I think I had always been into, and ultimately like wanted to, that was like a goal of mine, to like get to a point where I was doing everything that I always believed, but I didn't really like know how to get there. But like I believed all of these things. I knew like the food industry was just like big pharma, that kind of thing. Like it's controversial, but we're not going to get into it. But like I knew all of these things in my mind. Like these were the things that I believed, but like I was the only one. Everyone was like, oh, whatever with you. But like I knew all of these things, and I knew that I wanted like to have a holistic approach and like organic stuff, and like I was always into that, but I didn't know how to like put it together and make it work for myself and my life. So that was like my whole idea of the health coaching thing was like, oh, it's like a holistic approach to health, and like there's spirituality in it, and these are like my jams. So I just, someone advertised it, I clicked it, I did the sample classes, and I was like, I'm doing it. And it was like started in 2 days. So I like got everything together, paid it, did it, and I was in. And then that, I think, combined with like Noah's help, just really like pivoted me into the right direction. And that really helped a lot. I changed a lot of what I was doing. I know a lot more now. I read a lot more now. And I make better decisions. And as a result, like I feel better, and I definitely look better, not just from a weight standpoint, but just like, I remember I took a picture in the sun and I showed my brother, and I was like, do you see this like little glow on me? I said, people pay for that in the makeup store. It's called highlighter. I said, that's my skin, dude. Yeah. And he was like, well, all right, I guess that's kind of cool. I'm like, no, it's really cool. I was like, like I was like a dull, like acne loser. What do you mean? Like, this is insane. I feel great. I look great. So, it just really, it changed everything. And that was like my biggest victory, I think, that I did for myself.
Awesome. Yeah. Because I talked about on one of the, like, I think the first episode, I also work with Noah for now. I'm taking a little break because of having a baby and not wanting to spend excess money on things I don't really need to at the moment.
Yep.
But and it has helped me as well. So while you were doing the nutrition, did you also start to do any like increased activity as well?
Yeah. Ryan and I would walk a lot in the summer and like sweat everything off.
Well, yeah. Whenever we're out there walking, we're sweating a ton, right?
Oh my God. It was crazy, the heat sometimes, but we would do it together every day. We were out there and we were just walking the neighborhood. And it was nice because we would like, banter on Instagram and like make funny stories, and it was cool. And then the winter came, and that was tougher. Like I can't do the mask in the gym. I'm very like claustrophobic, or I get claustrophobic. So like the mask in a store sometimes is tough for me. Like if my mouth is sweating, I'm like, oh, get me out of here. I gotta go. Like I can't do it. So like doing it in a gym, which I really do really well in the gym, really, really well. I kill it, but I can't do the mask. So I was doing stuff at home. I was doing like this hip hop aerobic step thing, and I love it. But this has always been me. I come home from work, or I would come home from school, and home was like the chill zone. It was a time to get comfortable. It was a time to relax and just be. Yeah. So now I'm trying to not be, I'm trying to do at home, and it's really hard. And I think that it kind of derailed my progress in a sense, because like I would get in my own way. I'd be like, oh, but it's so cold and I just want to be under a blanket, or like I wouldn't have the motivation because seasonal depression kind of thing. Ryan and I both dealt with that. And now that it's warmer, I've been definitely out there. I've been being more active for sure. And I love it. So I like being active.
I see you guys on John's 5K walks at the
those were fun
on Long Island.
You guys did one in Philly though, no?
We did one in Philly. Yes.
How was it?
It was good. It was good. We had a few people show up. It was. I spent the whole day with him and Kenny, so that was an adventure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Our story show. We had our Instagram stories showed a bit. It was fun because especially like I found that when you meet people from this community out in real life, you already know each other quite a bit. Like you know, like a shell of what the person is, right? Because you know, like certain aspects. But then
Mm-hmm.
you actually have like conversations longer than like an Instagram story, or
Yeah.
longer than like an occasional ALG call, and we'd have
Mm-hmm.
different time to talk for a few minutes. Like you have, like I spent like, you know, 9 hours with them.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot,
Yeah.
but it was like I kind of equate it to like old friends, like catching up kind of thing, like where you just kind of click like right after you see each other, right?
Yeah.
But I never met them before in person, so it
Yeah.
was similar.
I know the feeling. There's
Yeah.
just it's an acceptance, and you don't even like need to be apprehensive about it. Like you just accept each other. And I don't know if I've said this publicly. I've definitely said it on the girls' calls that we do. But I feel like the weight loss community is very similar to the gay community in the sense that there is just acceptance. We accept you for who you are. We know what you've dealt with because we've dealt with it too. We know how mean people can be. We know how tough family can be,
Mm-hmm.
or, different relationships in your life. And the gym for the first time, we know it because we've lived it. So we just accept you, and there's no explanation required. You can
Yeah.
just be you.
Speaking speaking of acceptance, so it was funny when we were in Philly. We're at the Rocky statue, and like there's this lady that is for tips, she takes pictures for people, right? That's all she does. Like she must make a killing. Like, I mean,
Oh,
like
sure.
seriously,
Yeah.
like 5, 10, 20, who knows how much she gets per person, per
Yeah.
group. But like
Yeah.
so we all get pictures of the Rocky statue like flexing and stuff, and she's the one that tells us how to pose and stuff as we're
Oh,
doing it.
really?
And then when I came up, so John did his first like solo, and then I did mine. Kenny didn't want to do any in front of it, but I did mine. She's like, oh yeah, she's like, so starts saying, she's like, I like my men big, and like keeps going on about me there, and I'm like, okay. And then when we got done and we were like getting towards the Rocky steps, I'm like, hey guys, what's it like to be the skinny friend?
Aw. They
And then
probably love that.
oh, I know. And then it was just funny, and it's like because like whenever you're a big person, like you get called, like I get called big man, big guy, whatever, some version of that a lot. And I'm like, yeah, they're not talking about my height. Like, right.
Yeah.
But it was a fun little anecdote from that trip, because it was just like weird, because I mean I've seen the Rocky statue so many times, I never go up to get pictures in front of it.
Yeah.
I get when I was younger, I did, and then I went
Yeah.
because they had never been, so I was like, of course we got to get photos, and it was just a
Yeah, of
funny time. It
course.
was a funny thing.
No, I feel you on the skinny friend thing. Still not there yet. Hope to be though, one day.
Yeah, yeah.
I was always the fat friend.
I have one friend that I've gotten skinnier than, which is it's strange.
Yeah.
It's like I was always used to being the biggest.
Yeah.
Now I'm not the biggest, but I'm still pretty big.
Yeah.
But we'll get there, right? Eventually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the day that I do, you will all know about it. I'm the skinny friend. I made it.
Yeah, like
I did it.
yeah, and people start just commenting skinny bitches unite or something. All right. So we talked about diet, like your nutrition, your activity. One thing I like to talk about with some guests is like dealing with like plateaus, because like I feel like so often they get left out of Instagram, because like
Oh my God.
you don't talk about them because you don't want to acknowledge them.
No, Plateau is my middle name. The worst. The worst. I have hit so many plateaus, and I have tried so many different things. One of the things that really like helped me though was removing gluten from my diet.
Mm-hmm.
So, backstory: I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. And it's basically from like there's 4 different kinds. My kind is insulin resistance. So there's a lot of metabolic stuff that goes into it. Biggest thing, probably one of them, is blood sugar. So like by removing certain things from your diet or regulating your sugar, stuff like that, you can really improve your weight loss and your overall health. So that's been like my I call weight loss like my major. Like we're talking about college, weight loss is my major, PCOS is my minor. I've
Okay.
been trying to manage both of those things. And I think genuinely part of the reason that I hit these plateaus so much is because I haven't quite figured out what else I need to do in terms of PCOS and moving forward with that. I've been toying with removing dairy, but like I love cheese. But I actually recently listened to a PCOS podcast, and they said that cheese has something called casein in it. And casein is kind of the same as sugar. It just makes you feel like you need cheese, and I need cheese. So I'm like, maybe that's the problem. Like, I don't necessarily know that my body needs to be dairy free. Like, I'm managing, I'm okay, but like, I'm not going to know unless I try it. So, that might be my next step. But these are the things that get me past these plateaus, is removing stuff, toying with this. What if I only do like natural sugar? That is the thing that like brought out like the really great skin kind of thing, and the energy boost was really only doing natural sugar, which is tough, you know, but I feel really good when I do that. So those kinds of things were how I beat plateaus, was just, okay, now I'm going to do this. I'm ready to remove gluten. I'm going to experiment for 1 month. I'm writing down all my symptoms, and then I'm going to keep track of them every week. And once I saw that most of those symptoms, especially like brain fog, that was the biggest thing for me, was gone, I was like, all right, I got to stick with this. And I do. And I've been doing that successfully, but now I think it's time for dairy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not like I can eat cheese every now and then, but like my thing is always like, if I want ice cream, like I don't keep any in the house.
Yeah.
But if I like, especially like on my high carb meals, if I'm out and I'm like, I could go for like a cone or something, especially in the summer. I'm thinking more than like winter, right?
Summer gets you.
Yeah.
And so many good ice cream spots.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I mean, you live in New York, so plenty of places.
Oh, and they're all like homemade. It's insane. They're so good. And I'm an ice cream person too, so I get you on that 100%.
Oh yeah. I recently started like at work about a year ago. They had food trucks come on like Fridays, and they used to get like, they had a gelato truck come, and I had like, it was this combination of Oreo and chocolate hazelnut, and I don't know what it was, but it was like crack, because like I had it and I was just like, I want more of this every time.
I want that of it.
Yeah, and I was just, I mean, it was expensive because it's like, just for like the cone, it was like $5 or something, and
yeah,
I was like, yeah, I don't really need that, but man, it's good. And then I'd always hope that they had those flavor combination, like it would be 2 scoops, and I would get like one of each, and then, but they didn't always have the chocolate hazelnut, so I couldn't always get it. But I was like, man, it was so good. It's just like one of those things where I never tried it before. I had heard about gelato, but like I never really had it because I was like, what's it, like ice cream, right?
It's like the butter of ice cream. It's so smooth, and it's a perfect texture. I love gelato.
Yeah, and that's what makes it dangerous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I never actually thought about this until I met Ryan, but because he had weight loss surgery, he has like a different I guess perspective of different kinds of foods. So he told me once, he's like, yeah, ice cream's a slider food. And I'm like, what? What's a slider food? He's like, like it just slides down, like you don't really get full from it. And I'm like, that's it. That's why I love ice cream. Like I can just eat and eat and eat it. Like I could sit there and eat an entire pint, but I don't most of the time, but I could, because I guess it's a slider food, I guess.
Yeah. When I started my journey, I tried to do those Halo Top pieces of crap.
I hate those.
I'll never get a sponsorship now because I just call them a piece of crap. But
you even want one though?
No, because they're awful.
Trash.
Like I tried them, and I'm like, every time I try one, I'm like, God, this is awful. And that's actually what's gotten me to the point when people ask me like for ideas for substituting some food for another. Often it's the Quest peanut butter cups, and I always am like, if you just want a Reese's, eat a Reese's. If you want like ice cream, eat like ice cream. Like don't eat a whole half gallon of it, but have so I don't keep it here, but if I'll go out and get something, right? Because I'm like, I just want, like, if I want it, I'm gonna get it. Like it's gonna happen. It may not happen today, but it'll happen, and then I'll like probably binge on it too. I
was gonna say, the longer you prolong what you want, the more likely you are to binge. Just go get it and get it over with.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
All right. So a couple things that I like to ask Yeah, kind of a couple of things I like to ask people about are what I call like the physical and non-physical changes from your weight loss. I used to call it a side effect, but that's not really a good phrase for it. And it's so some people have like physical changes, like they actually like they lose shoe size, they lose height, they like obviously, and then there's also obviously the NSV side of, but that we're not counting that. And then there's also like you lose people that you used to be close to because you don't do the things that you used to do, right? Like
Okay.
go out and like have all night benders of food and drinks.
Yeah.
Or but then there's also the positive of like you gain friends, like Instagram community can be a huge part of it. And
Mm-hmm.
you also gain like things like confidence because from
Oh yeah.
the weight loss. And not to say that everything's tied to weight, but it helps you with gaining confidence. Have you had some of those things in
I've
your
had
journey?
pretty much everything that you've
Yeah.
recommended that you've said. Um, I want to say probably two of my biggest things. One is the confidence. Like I feel like I've always been more confident than your like typical fat girl. Like I'll go on the beach in a bathing suit. Leave me alone. I don't care. Like that kind of thing. Like I don't want to be prohibited. So I just would do my thing, even though like I was gross. Um, so I've always had a little bit more confidence, I think. But this confidence is like almost it's different in the sense like I've never been as small as I am. Well, I have, but like as small as I am now, the weight I am at now, I haven't been in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that coupled with the personal growth and the change of like who I am as a person has really kind of I'm probably a little bit too ahead of myself. Like I'll like buy stuff and I'm like, oh, what were you thinking? You can't wear that yet. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like in my head, I can because like I like
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth it kind of thing. But physically, then I look at it, I'm like, you're not there yet. You got to pull back a little bit. But the other thing I was gonna say when you were saying like you lose people, I don't know necessarily that it's as a result of my weight loss. I think it's as a result of like the overall self-care, self-prioritization, self-respect kind of thing that I've developed. And you know, I talk a lot in the girls group about like setting boundaries and stuff like that. Because that's been one huge lesson that I've had to learn was how to set boundaries and how to still like setting boundaries for me is an attempt to maintain the relationship that you have with some people. Whereas I could just not, but I'm setting this boundary with you because I want to kind of thing. Whereas before I was just a victim of the whole thing. I'd be like, yeah, but if they said this, then like, what am I supposed to do? Like I was kind of at other people's mercy.
Yeah.
Where now I'm like, no, I'm going to take control of like myself and protect how I feel. And I'm letting you know that this is my threshold and this is where I'm at. And if that's something that you can't respect, I just have to take a step back for a little bit. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest part in all of that is my I don't want to say apathy because it's not apathy because I care. It's more or less the, I guess, maturity or like how calm I can be about it. Because not a lot of people in my life understand it. They're more or less just like, you've changed. You don't hang out with the same people you hung out with. You don't maintain relationships with the same people that you used to, quite frankly, force relationships with before, you know, that kind of a thing. And they just look at it very negatively. They don't understand. But, you know, that's not really for me. It's kind of for them. But I think those are like my two biggest things. One of those relationships was really, really big and really, really hard for a really, really long time. And when I finally put the kibosh on like the norm, I guess, of it all, I don't know, the way that it had been going for a really long time. When I finally put the kibosh on it, I was like, I'm so amazed and like proud of myself. I'm like, wow, bitch, you really did it. Like you really did do it. Like, I can't believe you did that. You know what I mean? And I was really emotional for like a week about it. I was like, wow, like I cannot believe myself. I really, like, I understand this so much deeper and I respect what it is instead of forcing it what I want to be kind of thing. And it just really like, that was a huge turning point was that big kibosh. I was just like, wow, like you're really making progress here. So those are definitely things for me, like my personal journey that have come along with putting
Yeah.
myself first.
Yeah, and I found not just that, but I know that you guys are looking to move at some point, right?
Yeah.
And once you move away from like where you've lived for so long, like just the amount of friends, I kind of posted this on Instagram about 2 weeks ago, and some people didn't
Yeah, I
like it,
saw it.
but it was
Yeah.
like one of the life hacks is moving away from people you've known all your life, because then you have to like find people that you like to hang out with, not because of who you were at any
Yeah.
time in your life. Like so many people like that I met, they didn't know me from, oh, you went to this high school and you went to, and like you did this and that, and no, they had no idea who I was. And like, but over time you kind of develop those friendships, and like some of your old friendships just kind of fall off because
Yep.
if it wasn't for social, I mean, especially we live in an age where you can stay connected, but like how many times would you like just never see this person again? Because
Yeah.
like especially once you move away, like you're out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. I honestly feel like this move is coming at the perfect time
Mm-hmm.
because we are just growing and evolving and becoming different people. And, me moving, this isn't the first, Brett, I've been trying to get the fuck out of here for years. I left and I moved to Florida when I was like 19
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted out. Then I came back and I went to college because I wanted out. Like it was only 40 minutes away, but it was out. And
Yeah.
then I moved to the city because I wanted out. I've been trying to get the hell out for a really long time. And I think I just still needed to do some work, here with people I love and with, just the whole, like if I'm thinking about it spiritually, like I just needed to do more work and learn more lessons. And now I feel like, okay, all of that is done. This place, Long Island, has served its purpose in my life, and I'm ready, genuinely
Mm-hmm.
ready to like move on. I don't like when I moved when I was 19, I cried from the minute I woke up to the minute I got to Florida. The entire plane ride, the poor lady next to me was like trying to console me. She's like, I have some DVDs. I was like, oh, it's okay. But I was so not ready to do it because,
Yeah.
like now I'm ready. Now I'm like, okay, I know I did all I needed to do. I accomplished everything I was supposed to accomplish and I'm ready. So I'm like, it's coming at the perfect time.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, and once you do move, like you figure out that you still need to, you'll still need to work on stuff, right?
Probably,
Yeah, I can tell you will.
probably. But it might be,
It may be different stuff
I
too.
was gonna say it might be because it's at a distance now. I feel like I
Mm.
can't. You know what I mean?
It's also nice when people can't just like show up at your place unannounced, like family.
No one does that here.
Okay, that's good.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So every now and like we live 2 hours away from our family, so we don't see them as easily, like because
Yeah.
they have to, usually it's a trip, right? They make a trip down.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, like somebody will like they'll go to Baltimore for something, like, oh, we'll just stop by. And like one time my mom came to our house like 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday. I'm like,
Unannounced.
yeah.
Mom.
And I was just like, yeah, next time how you can like text, call, something. I mean, we
What
were
if you
up,
were
but it
at
was
the
like,
bus? Just chilling.
well, she doesn't have a key, so she had to wait for us to answer the door. But yeah. Oh man, good times. But yeah, I really believe that like moving is some of the best, because like some of us just get stuck, not just like to like change your surroundings and like get new opportunities and all that, but even just you just get stuck in your ways too, because like you're just comfortable, like, and
Yeah,
comfort can be like the enemy of progress, right? So
absolutely.
all right, so I kind of getting towards winding down.
Okay.
I like to ask everyone like a hobby or interest that's not necessarily related to weight loss. It can be, and I was just curious what yours is.
So I'm like not into any one specific thing. Genuinely, like what makes me like feel alive is just being outside, being near the
Mm-hmm.
water. Any like body of water just gives me a lot of like really good energy. I love kayaking, I love hiking. Water sports are like my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that goes vroom is my favorite, like quads or jet skis, love that kind of stuff. So just being outside and in nature is really like my favorite thing.
Awesome. I discovered that last year myself, that I liked it more than I
Yeah.
realized. And just being outside, and it wasn't even like in nature, it was like my sub development, but it
Yeah.
was just like walking around, and I just like started to get like a kind of like a peace when I was walking. And I kind of got that with hiking. Like we went hiking in Glacier National Park last summer,
Cool.
early fall, and it was also like very peaceful, and I mean, there's more people
Mhm.
there than are in my subdevelopment walking around, but you
Yeah.
know, like I don't know, there's just like a calmness of it until like
Mhm.
well, until there's a bear, but
You
I,
ran into a
no,
bear.
I did not.
Oh, I was about to
I
say, oh my
avoided.
God.
I had bear spray though, that I bought, but
Just in
because
case.
I was like, I did all this work. I'm not getting taken out by a bear.
Yeah, right. I feel you.
But yeah, and I just found that I like because I used to think the people that go walking outside are like sycophants or something. Because like I don't want to do that. I don't want to. And
Yeah.
like who like I just I've had on a couple guys that are also marathon runners, which I thought
Okay.
was like the ultra crazy, right? Because
Yeah, I still think that's ultra
yeah.
crazy.
But you know, I kind of get it more now because I was like I was like I walk 5Ks or 10Ks
Yeah.
by my like walking them, and I'm like eventually I want to run, but I'm not at the point where I feel comfortable running at my weight because I'm
Yeah, I
like
was gonna say, have
it's a
you
lot.
tried?
I can,
Shin
yeah,
splints are so real.
I've done I'll do like I think I did almost 5 minutes straight running,
Wow.
but that's it. I didn't go any further than that. I built up to it because I did like 1 minute running, 3 minutes walking, then like
Hmm.
1 minute and 15 seconds running, then like
Okay.
4 minutes. Like I just kept going up as I was
Yeah.
doing my normal. But yeah, I got up to almost five. I think it was like 5 minutes or so. I don't really remember anymore. It was a while ago. But
Good for you. That's long.
yeah, that was like really pushing it. And but like 3 minutes, I'm pretty comfortable. But eventually, because I wanna do a 5K in person. I want to make sure I can do it under the hour. Because usually they have like an hour time limit, and I just
Hmm.
want to finish under the hour because I can
Yeah.
walk it. I can walk a 5K in about an hour and 6 minutes.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like you can do this. And but yeah, just outdoors is just nice, especially when it's not like sweltering hot or too freaking cold like
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah, winter sucks.
Yeah, but that's awesome. Especially if you moving to Florida, you'll have plenty of nice weather.
Oh yeah. That's something I'm really looking forward to is like exploring Florida, like just in general. I mean, one thing we actually Ryan and I talked about this because I went kayaking like by myself. It was like a treat yourself kind of moment. I
Hmm.
was like, I have nobody to go with and I want to go. I'm just gonna do it.
Hmm.
And Ryan was really nervous. He's like, what if you fall out? I'm like, I'll just swim. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Um, but I was in a river as opposed to like there's a lot of bays and like the ocean here because we're on an
Hmm.
island. But I was in a river, and I said like I would be terrified to do this in Florida because of like alligators. You know, like I
Yeah.
love kayak. It's like one of my favorite things to do. But
Hmm.
like alligators, that's really scary. Like I'm really afraid of them. So I don't know how people do it, but people definitely do it. I know they do. I've seen like
Yeah.
videos and all this other stuff. And I'm like, how are you not terrified? Like, what if you come into contact with one of them? What do you do? They're
I have
fast.
yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. So
I was like, you get your gun.
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, hey, you'll have to keep us posted on your on
Oh,
Instagram and
you know, I
see.
will. I definitely will.
I can only imagine like you see alligators just on this. I mean, because you see them every like all the time in Florida when you're like driving up and down the roads. Like
Yeah.
you'll see them. So
That's
I
not scary. Or like if they're like yonder, I'm not afraid. But if they're in the water with me and I'm in a
oh yeah,
kayak, like
oh yeah,
I can't swim away. I can't paddle away fast enough. Those things are really fast. So like that scares the shit out of me. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be an
yeah,
adventure.
yeah. You need to find yourself like a nice man-made lake that's not doesn't
Yeah,
get alligators in it,
probably.
right?
Well, even man-made
Yeah, well,
lakes.
they'll find it because they'll find the water
Yes.
source. Okay,
Yeah.
so you need to make like you need to have a pool and just put a kayak in a pool.
Yeah. Just like bump back and forth on the walls of the
It'd be
pool.
like those pools that are meant for like how they have the pools that are very small that people just swim in, but they don't really move because you
Oh,
have
they're
like
like, yeah.
the jets
Yep.
like that, like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But
That sounds like a good
then
plan.
it kind of takes the point out of the kayak. But
It definitely does, but we'll work it out. We'll figure it
yeah,
out.
you can always go in the ocean. There's only like sharks and stuff there.
Yeah, I could go in the ocean. You're right. I feel like a shark wouldn't like come up to eat my boat though. Like an alligator would be like, meat. A shark would be like, oh, that's just a
Well,
boat. I don't care.
yeah, I haven't. I'm not an expert, so I'm gonna do the legal disclaimer and say, do it at your own risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so now it's time for the last segment of the show called Brett's Corner, which
Okay.
used to be my working name of the podcast. And I asked 5 questions, same 5, and I just like to get to know the guests a little bit more with these answers. So, question number 1 is, what movie, TV show, or event are you most excited for in the coming year?
So I'm not really into movies or TV shows, but before the pandemic, I was planning, and I didn't know if it was definitely going to happen, but I was planning. My goddaughter loves Taylor Swift, and I love her. So I was planning on taking her to the Taylor Swift, like, I think it was called like the Love Festival or something. It was like a concert. She always tries to do something different, which with each tour. So this was going to be like more of like a music festival sort of thing. So I wanted to take her to that. And I hope to be able to do something like that in the future. Another thing that I want to do is just like I love concerts, like live music is my thing. So I want to go to something like that with Ryan because we've never gotten to do that yet. And we have so much fun together. So we would have such a blast. So I want to do something like go to a concert sometime soon.
Yeah, it's especially nice with the pandemic seem like it's getting better. Not gonna jinx it.
Nope.
And fun fact, Taylor Swift is from my hometown.
Really?
She is by far the most famous.
Wait, Reading?
Reading.
Sorry.
Yes, Reading, Pennsylvania.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was.
Why did I think she was from like
Tennessee? Like she claims Nashville as her like town now. She moved there when she was young, but she was in Reading for like at least like for a few years.
And that's possibly where she had that Christmas tree farm. Because Reading, isn't that like a Christmas like town? Don't you guys like love Christmas there, or is that just me?
No, that's because you went to Christmas Village and you were disappointed by Christmas Village a bit.
No, I wasn't. It was cool. It was just like
no, you were disappointed by the people, I think, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, the people were weird.
Yeah,
but not at the Christmas Village because I think there was just a lot of different people there. It was local people. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. So it's not really Christmas. So Reading is like an old steel town from the like when steel was big in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
And then it steel died, and then Reading's like depressed. Like it's been a depressed town for like 20 years at least.
Well, and maybe that's why the people are not very nice.
Maybe that's why I don't live there. But yeah, so and we went. Actually, I took my wife to see her concert in 2015 in Philly, and she calls it her hometown concert because she's like, I'm from right up the road.
Probably like an hour or so, but
it's an hour, but she's doing stadiums and there's nothing closer.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right. Question number 2: what are 2 non-health related goals you have for the next year?
I have a couple, but I would say to be able to, when I get to Florida, where we're going is a really big, like they're really focused on like holistic health down there. So I would like to kind of launch like officially like my health coach career. I have a few clients here, but it seems almost kind of like a dead end unless you're like out east in like the Hamptons or on the North Fork where you don't want that kind of clientele anyway because they're not very down to earth. Okay. And I'm very down to earth, so like we don't click. So most of my clients are virtual, you know. Mm-hmm. They're not from here, which I love. So in Florida, because there's such a focus on holistic health in the area that we're going to, I really would like to make connections and kind of like get my health coaching career off of the ground. Mm-hmm. Be it with like private clients like I have now, or, you know, working in collaboration with people, that kind of a thing. So that's one goal. The other goal I would say is probably getting to purchase a house again, because I had a house. I bought and remodeled a house here, which was like a crazy adventure. I learned a lot from it. But I think I just want to be able to like not move anymore. I've moved a lot in my life. I want to say like upwards 20, maybe.
Wow.
All on Long Island mostly, except for the Florida and the city kind of stuff I explained, but I've moved a lot and I just really don't want to move anymore. I just want to have a place where I'm staying, and this is where I am. So I thought I had that with the house that I bought, but you know, life happened. We got divorced and here I am now. So I would like to have that happen again. So I guess buy a home and get solid with my career.
Awesome. So definitely doable, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Okay. So number 3 is, if someone came to you saying they were lacking motivation to stay consistent, what 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
So I feel like one of the big things I would want to like take a look at with that, and this is what I do with myself, is like, okay, what have you eaten today that is making you so tired or not in the mood or whatever? Because there's a lot of times when we eat too many carbs or too much fat and we kind of get like lethargic. So if you look at that, I feel like that helps. Take a look at it, you know, with curiosity, not judgment, and just be like, you know what? I actually did eat a little bit more sugar than I normally do, and that's probably why. And ultimately, it's going to lead up to, you just got to get up and do it, which was going to be my third piece, was just put on a cute ass outfit and get going. That's what I do to myself. I'm like, I'm going to put on these new leggings I got, or I'm going to put on this cute workout top, and I'm going to do my thing. That's, I guess, my second piece. And then I guess my third piece is like, what else is going on? Are you mad because you got in a fight with your friend? Are you pissed because something happened at work and you just don't want to? Because a lot of that stuff affects like our energy levels and our energy just in general on like a metaphysical standpoint. So that kind of stuff you take into account too, and you maybe can work through it, or, you know, just take a deep breath and try to put it to the side for a minute and then get going. So just take a look and raise your awareness, kind of what's gone on in your day, what's going on, and then put on a cute ass outfit and get it together.
Awesome. I like it. All right. Number 4, what have you discovered most about your journey, or what have you discovered most during your journey that surprised you?
I think,
let me rephrase because I messed it up. What have you discovered about yourself during your journey that surprised you the most?
I think back to that moment where I put the kibosh on that big relationship. I was like, wow, you've never done this before, and you're really doing something here. So I think just valuing myself and having a deeper understanding of the people in my life, and, you know, kind of why things happened the way that they did, and being able to act from that place of like love instead of kind of like a place of fear, where I was like, what if this, and what if that, and what if something happens, and what if this is a wrong decision, kind of thing. That really was like a really big moment for me, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, because it's real like reflection and like self-growth.
Yeah, right? Definitely. Yeah. It's a huge moment.
All right, now here's everyone's favorite question, number 5. If in 150 years science fails to save us and all that is left is a book about your life, what would the title be, and what would the blurb tell us about Allie?
So I can't really say the title. Something is telling me to say like, it's not you. Because in my life, you know, with my story and my history, I absorbed a lot of what went on around me, and what I believed about myself was what other people believed about me, and it wasn't ever really true. Like, and I allowed, because I didn't know any better, I allowed those beliefs to become me. And as a result, I was unhealthy. I was miserable. I was mean. I just was always tired all the time, sad. Oh my God, sad was the biggest thing. That was the biggest emotion. I was always sad. And it was like, I get emotional thinking about how sad I was. Like, nobody should ever live life like that. You know what I mean? Like, nobody should be that sad. But I was really sad because I believed all of these things I had been told for a really long time. And it's not because these people wanted me to feel this way. It was because they didn't know any better themselves either. You know what I mean? Everybody, you can't do better unless you know better. And everybody treats people a certain way because that's how they feel about themselves, or that's how they were taught to feel. So when I say like, it's not you, I guess my message is like, silence the noise as best you can and really take a look at yourself. Because once I started doing that, I started like living, you know what I mean? I started
Mm-hmm.
putting pieces together and understanding and being like, wow, I actually have value and I am pretty freaking cool. And like, I'm funny and I'm silly and I'm smart, super smart. You know what I mean? Like, I started thinking these things about myself. And I was like, I remember I said to someone I was really close with, I was like, you're lucky to know me, like genuinely. And I wasn't being a jerk about it. Like, I was like, I'm really freaking cool. And you think that I'm annoying and I'm this and I'm that, but like, I'm actually really cool. And if you would give me a chance to show you how cool I am, like you would think, you know what I mean? Like, and that was like a big moment for me too, is to like be like, wow, like you actually have some sort of value. So I guess when I say like, it's not you, it really isn't you. It's the people around you that you grew up with. It's the generational trauma that has been passed down. And you know what I mean? You learn about all of this and then you understand that it really isn't you. And then you get to find out who you are and the weight that you hold, no pun intended, and the value that you bring. You know what I mean? So I guess that would kind of be like my whole blurb.
Awesome. I like it. That's my favorite question because
Yeah.
I get a different answer every time because nobody's gonna think the same.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other ones you can kind of bar like pieces will be similar.
Yeah.
But like that one, like no way it's ever the same. And when
No.
it is, that's when I quit doing the podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today. And if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they hit you up?
Ascend yourself. ASCENDYOSELF.
Awesome. I will add that to the show notes and we will hopefully see you again sometime.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for listening and or watching all the way to the end. You made it. Congratulations. Make sure you check out the show notes for links to anything we mentioned during the show. You can also check out my website, becomingbrett.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at becomingbrett and the show at becomingmorepod on Instagram. Until next time, make sure you give us a 5-star review. It helps the show out a lot, like I said when we started. And come back next week to learn how we can all become more.